De La Cruz and Irvin Awiden watching this game.
Now, even my cousins in Masbate, who, Ate Mads, Kuya Manix, who celebrated his birthday, to see the quarter scoring right there. I was actually alluding to the 25 and 29 point output of the Abra Weavers in the first and the third quarter, respectively. The common thing about those two quarters were perimeter makes. Doon, nagkakaiba yung dalawang quarters na yun. Napakarami nakita nating floaters, elbow jumpers, galing kay Raven Gonzalez, kay Patino, as Marvin Taiwan continues to break down solo without any ball screens the defensive coverage of the Heat Waves.
Lead has ballooned to 23 points. Mabulak whistled for an offensive foul.
And when you look at game number 2, where Marvin Taiwan did a heck of a job closing out that quarter in the fourth for the Weavers, you have to remember, game number 2, 0 points. See Jason Brickman, the very first 0-point game of Jason postseason, and comes that 8-point output galing dito kay Marvin Taiwan. And again, he was breaking down defenses, solo coverage, didn't need any help from anyone. He just kept on attacking downhill.
Mike Ayon Nayon, kasama si Raven Gonzalez, David Defonso, Gio Chu, and Marvin Taiwan. Ildefonso, the baseline jumper, and Coach Jerson Cabiltes has called his final timeout in the hopes of trying to salvage their season.
7 of 12, the best shooting game in the playoffs so far for David Defonso, and that slump is gone.
Abra with a 25-point lead, 76-51. About David Defonso, third straight double-double in this series, 18 and 12 tonight here in Rosales.
Well, I think the thing that's magical about that 18 points is the shooting percentage. He was 25 and 29% shooting in those couple of games, game 1 and game number 2, but right now he's 7 of 12, which is pretty big.
And what a performance in a potential closeout game here, game number 3. And with that slam dunk in the third, Ildefonso has electrified this crowd in Rosales. Let's go courtside to Mika Bisamis.
David Defonso talked about how his numbers were shaken in the series, felt his shooting took a dip in form a bit. Like I mentioned earlier, one guy responsible for this is obviously Mike DG, who's had years of experience going against guys like Jason Castro, Stanley Pringle, Paul Lee, Terence Romeo. Not to dim Dave's light, but he was just really everywhere. He put all the experience inside one cup and poured it out on Dave. But Dave said, this is a chance for me to focus on the saying, it's you versus you, to get his numbers back up. And hey, here he is, Ken Coach Mike.
And responding in a resounding way tonight. Maraming salamat, Mika. David Defonso, like you said, his best shooting performance of the playoffs.
Yeah. And you have to give Mike De Gregorio his flowers in terms of, how he defended against Dave. Hindi ganun kadali na dumepensa against Dave, but to make it difficult for him to get a really good and even just a decent field goal make in game number 1 and game number 2, he sure has played the angles, played the spots. Ang naunahan niya, pinahirapan niya. Pero sabi nga ng report ni Mika is, it's you versus you. At the end of the day, you look yourself in the mirror and you say, I gotta do better than the way I did the previous day.
May foul na tinawag laban sa Abra. Coach Young's players on the floor pleading for a challenge, but totally, in the end, overruling them.
lima yung nag-request pero na-turn down lahat yung 5. No?
Kala ko burger na re-request. Naka letter C pero
Letter
medyo
C.
nakayupi.
Medyo maliit yung no?
Ay, batiin muna natin isa sa ating mga table officials ng maligayang kaarawan. Walang iba kundi si Mr. Oliver Paterno.
Oy! Happy birthday, Oliver!
Saka nanonood din ang ating FD, si Mark Israel. Kuya Mark.
Kuya Mark, how are you?
76-53.
It's always good to have Kuya Mark also join us in the games, from time to time.
Oo naman.
Oh, man.
Marvin Taiwan, this time from the right corner pocket. 26-point advantage for Abra. And just the way they methodically broke down itong Pangasinan Heatwaves, Coach Mike. Although they're still trying to chip away at the lead here. Talking about itong Heatwaves, JP Maguliano with a potential 3-point play coming up.
Oh, no, good move right there. Pero yun nga, yung pagkaka-pick up ni JP Maguliano, papaling tayo sa paulit-ulit na pinag-uusapan natin. Pag nasa loob ka na ng paint at kalaban mo ang Weavers, napakarami mong kailangan alalahanin dahil shot blocking has been one of their primary weapons defensively this season.
Still a lot of time though. 23-point lead. Under 8 minutes to go in the fourth. Gonzalez fouled by Jay Collado.
Gusto mo rin talaga yung nagiging mobility nito ni Raven Gonzalez. He's not your typical post-up guy. He just continues to run the rim and then close out long. Katulad kanina nung titira na si Vic Manuel, na challenge pa rin niya.
O sa kagandahan kay Raven, he really shines in his role.
Just silent, very silent in how he operates.
Ayun, imagine, never took a 3-point shot for the entire season. A shot that I'm sure he has been working on, but he's still sticking to what he does best.
Well, ako nagugustuhan ko kay Raven. When you look at his numbers the entire playoffs, he's shooting 63% for a big man, and that is very impressive. The only time he never made a basket was, I think, game number 3 of that Caloocan game. But other than that, he's just been too good from the perimeter.
The lob, Taiwan, setting it up beautifully. Patungo kay J.O. Chu.
Now, one might say that J.O. Chu, when he started out for the Weavers, was trying to figure out his spot on the floor, lalo na with Raven being, pretty much securing that big guy spot. But he has eased in pretty well to that big man role for the Weavers. And I like his maturity, lalo na if you remember that game against Caloocan na talagang pinipisikal siya, he was really, at it and trying to compete against the veteran and physical big men of Caloocan.
Ildefonso lines it up off to the left. Offensive rebound by Raven Gonzalez.
One more.
Dave, hintis pa din. Gonzalez with a throwdown. Coach JB Kung JB approves. Kung JB Bernos letting out a little bit of a smile dahil lamang pa rin ng 25 puntos ang Abra. And they come away with a steal, but Bulanani with a counter steal of his own. Collado Mintes, Maguliano sa loob. Another 3-point play opportunity coming up for JP.
Well, still the Heatwaves giving it all that they have right now in the final 6 minutes of this game number 3. And you see JP going to the left with that finish against Raven Gonzalez. I'm trying to outsmart him. Pero yung last play natin kanina na slam dunk ni Raven Gonzalez, that pretty much shows you kung gaano ka-controlled at dominated nitong Weavers ang paint pagdating sa offensive rebound.
84-61. Under 6 minutes left. Taiwan. Oh man. Marvin Taiwan. Those back-breaking threes have been a killer. Foul still against Abra as Collado made his drive. What a second half for the Abra Solid North Weavers.
Oh, yeah.
Just when you thought Pangasinan was knocking on the door early in the third, they have put the lights out here in Rosales. 87-61, approaching the 5-minute mark of the fourth.
This is what you love about Marvin. He's just very calculated. He's not rushing into things. He's trying to see where the other options are. If he doesn't like it, then he pulls it out and then gives it to his teammates for them to have their own look. And that's why you really have to be recognizing yung effort nito ni Marvin Taiwan. As another made basket from the outside here for the Heatwaves. Time really not on their side. And so far, everything clicking for the Weavers here. And what potentially could be the final game of the North Finals.
Taiwan will milk some clock here. Working on Gortiza. Rebound Bulanadi off that Taiwan miss. Gortiza positioning himself down low. Foul will be whistled against Marvin Taiwan. Abra is in penalty. But let's check out again this Gixer, great move of the game. Born for greatness.
A couple of bigs connecting right there. Offensive rebound for GOTU, but how about that vision to find quickly si Raven Gonzalez and just the right way to finish that kind of possession. That slam by Raven.
Pasok yung unang free throw ni King Gortiza. Ngayong second half lang, pinasok ni Coach Gerson. Ito si King. 5 straight points. They pulled to within 21. 4 and 20 left. Oh, what a pass. But Mike unable to keep himself inbounds. And now we have our fast break of the game brought to you by Extreme X Play on-the-go speaker. Take your music anywhere.
Showing a lot of athleticism that time. JHU. A few times you've seen him go in an alley-hoop on a downhill action.
Maguliano supply. Abra slowing things down, going through the motions. Gonzalez. Kaputay Ildefonso. Dave lobs it up. Gonzalez clearing space, and he will score.
I'll chalk up another assist for Dave Ildefonso. He's not scoring, he's assisting.
Layup ni Goliano, pero they need some stops. Pangasinan. And quickly at that. Time slowly ticking away as Galanza gives up the foul. And I think Coach Gerson pinasok na dito si Japs Bautista. While for Abra, Jorel Gonzalez, Redel Fabro, and Wilkin Lee now in.
Kahit na yung mga homegrown, mabibigat din para dito sa Weavers. Of course, Wilkin Lee, alam naman natin yung touch niyan from the outside. And Redel Fabro, he's not gonna be short of any effort, be it on the offense or the defense.
Approaching the 3-minute mark of the third. Taiwan comes away with a steal, puts on the Jets. And that might be just the icing on the cake. What a performance here by the Abra Solid North Weavers, Coach Mike.
Yeah, just completely, giving it to the Heatwaves here in the second half. 29 in the third quarter, and really just kept pouring it on. Never really relaxing. And parang nararamdaman mo nga, halos hindi na tumitingin sa scoreboard, execute na lang ng execute. And they've never gotten into, kumbaga, relax mode all throughout this game.
Wilkin Lee hits a free.
There will be game situations where I feel Coach Yong Garcia, if they need a 3 in a very close game, and he needs shooters from the outside, I will not be surprised if Wilkin Lee is one of those guys that he calls out from the bench.
Japs Bautista got fouled. Taking the 3. What a journey it's been for this franchise. Itong Abra Solid North Weavers, Coach Mike, joined the league last season.
Yes.
And had a bit of a roller coaster elimination round. Itong free throw nito, by the way, is brought to you by Extreme Appliances, ang subok at kumpletong appliance brand ng Pilipinas. Na up and down sila, no? But managed to sneak in at that 7th spot. But ang nakalaban nila in the first round was the two-time defending,
Yes.
well, that time, the defending champions, the Pampanga Giant Lanterns. They got swept, but that was a pretty much competitive series, Coach Mike. And then retooled in the big
Yeah.
way in the off-season. Got Dave, Encho Serrano coming to the fore para dito sa Abra. And after losing that game against the Pasay Voyagers way back in March, they have not lost since. Wilkin Lee with his second free. And now, grabe, 33 straight wins
Yes.
en route to his historic national finals appearance.
And I feel ang ano dyan, ang magandang ginawa rin nila is that they acknowledge their effort and the outcome of the very first season last year. They started building from it, and Coach Yong has really, guided the ship into where it is right now, pulling in players that was very key in their rotation. They brought in Jason Brickman, played a game in Paco Arena in one of the regular season games. He never came back in the regular season, and then once that Caloocan season playoffs began, that's when they got Jason Brickman back. And so when Jason left, the big question was who was going to be the key point guard of the Weavers outside of Marvin Taiwan. And I guess the answers have really been evident here in the postseason, that Marvin Taiwan was going to be fine working alongside Jason Brickman, and Jason Brickman was really a guy that really just wanted to mesh alongside the guys of the Weavers.
They reviewed that last out of bounds play. Mukhang last touch si Jay Collado.
Daming kamay na tumapik.
Siguro Tisa pala.
Yan ako sa on-court Tisa.
And I think the underrated aspect, Coach Mike, of how Abra did it is that ang daming bagong players din that became part of the equation, and yet you never felt like the chemistry cut off.
Yes. Yun ang impressive actually. I mean, it is hindi ganun kadali na humawa ka ng isang team na halos lahat ng players de calibre. This is a good mix of veterans and young players. At start of the season, parang karamihan mga batang mga players ang hawak nila. They almost look like a collegiate team. But then when guys like Mike Ayanayon and Jason Brickman started joining in, talagang mas lalo nag-iba. Jolo Mendoza even coming in, talaga nakita mo yung malaking difference at naging development at progress nitong Abra Weavers.
And a foul given up by Chiu. This is the fast break of the game, brought to you by Extreme Cool Air Conditioners. Ang Extreme magpalamig, free installation for split-type air conditioners.
I'm sure hindi lang si David Defonso matagal-tagal na inasam yung pagkakataon na yan. Even his fans from the Abra Weavers have waited for that moment when they see DI on a slam finish, and with that celly of the raise the roof.
What about tong Pangasinan Heatwaves? Coach Jerson Cabiltes under scrutiny ever since last year. Sabay silang sumali ng Abra last season. Disappointing finish for Coach Jerson, not even making it to the playoffs in his first year with the Heatwaves. Came back the following year, this year, and despite having a lot of talented players at his disposal, they had to go for the play-in. And the odds were really stacked against them for the entire postseason, and yet they made it all the way here to the North Division Finals.
One thing that it's really painful in the playoffs is to see really good teams that have stretched themselves in the regular season, got past challenges in the playoffs, only to lose an elimination game. And the Heat Waves, they get their flowers. They've done well, and I'm sure they're gonna build moving forward with this start here in this season.
A job well done for the Abra Solid North Weavers.
Indeed.
We have the new kings of the North this season.